Happy November, New Orleans Nation. Welcome to another episode of Melanin Mayhem, the podcast that puts you up on prolific melanated criminals you probably never heard about. Hosted by me, your favorite country girl, Renee Davis. If this is your first time joining us, hey baby, what took you so long? It don't even matter. You're here now, and I'm so grateful to have you and your ears. And to my ride or dies, reunited, and it feels so good. Oh, I have missed you, honey. But you're here, I'm here, and we about to do what we do. Let it cook. And speaking of cooking, boy, do I have some goodies in the oven coming up for you, baby. Y'all know this podcasting thing is all new to me, and I'm learning as I go. But the big man upstairs, he always puts the right people in my path to help guide a bitch. And I also read everything that you all send me on socials and in the emails. Oh yeah, I read it all. And baby, I'm taking notes. Like the suggestion for a private discussion group for the New Orleans Nation to let loose in. Done. Thank you, girl, for putting me up on it. You know who you are, and I love you for it, ma'am. So many things I gotta do. Ooh, honey, y'all pray for the country girl. This year is almost over, and 2025 is going to bring big things popping. I got so much more for y'all. The country girl is going to give you some video to go along with the audio for the pod. Oh, yes. I'll be dropping some teasers along with some more details on the socials. And if you don't know, it's Melanin Mayhem Podcast. Just start typing Melanin Mayhem wherever you are, everywhere except TikTok, and TikTok is coming. But yeah, start typing Melanin Mayhem, MELANIN, Mayhem, MAYHEM, and I promise you, you're going to see that pretty logo pop up. Y'all, I got to thinking, and the podcast is going to be dropping the day after the election. And I don't know if we're going to be happy today or if we pissed off and looking for our passport and booking flights. So I figured, let's do a lighter episode of Mayhem today. Well, you know, as much as you can make murder and shit light. And y'all know I try. But just in case we all own one today, I don't want to make it worse. So I want you laughing, or at least smirking a teensy-weensy little bit, right? So here's what I got for you. Y'all, being a criminal doesn't necessarily mean a person has had a hard knock life. Just like we come in all types, shapes, flavors, and beliefs in the melanated diaspora, the crimes, the criminals, and the origin stories range in diversity as well. We got them from the well-to-do economic status people to those that are living in poverty. We got them from the educated to the ignorant, male to female. I mean, you never know what you're gonna get when you peel back the layers and see who the fuck this person was that committed a crime. This week, though, we gonna get into some gangster shit. I love me a old street nigga. Ooh, wait a minute. No. I mean, I love me a reformed street nigga. Baby, I need insurance and 401k and shit now. Street life ain't got no good benefit plan. That open enrollment option only has incarceration or in the ground. But I love the hustling spirit. But back to this gangster shit. We're gonna take it to the streets just a little bit. And it's gonna be some killing going on and some robbing. But our mayhem maker, he wasn't no gangster per se. He just did some gangster shit. He ain't want to hurt nobody. I don't believe. I just think things just kind of went left. He was just doing his thing, but in doing his thing, he fucked around and wrote a check that his ass couldn't cash. This week, we're going to D.C., honey. Our mayhem maker, by all accounts, had a pretty good life, but something about them streets, ooh, he just couldn't leave them alone. And y'all know, we probably all know some people that like to hit a lick. And everybody's lick is a little bit different. But no matter what the lick is, it's gonna involve taking some shit that don't belong to you. Our melanin mayhem maker likes to liberate the banks of their money with that peace be still. We call that bank robbing around here. And he was setting it off way before Stoney, Cleo, Frankie, and TT did it. Honey, I ain't gonna hold you no longer. Let me introduce you to a serial bank robber, prison breaking, shoot 'em up bad motherfucker named Billie Austin Bryant, aka Billie Bad Ass. Austin Bryant was born May 1st, 1931 in Mount Olive, North Carolina. I don't know who his parents were, but I do know that he had a brother named Leonard Bryant that he fucked with the long way. I'm talking they was tight and they did everything together. True blood brothers. And at some point, the family moved from Mount Olive to Charlotte because his daddy was a truck driver, and apparently that's where the jobs were. And there were no shenanigans during Billy's teenage years. He was an average kid in a middle-class family. Billy graduated from a Charlotte high school, and then he joined the Navy with his brother somewhere between 1948 and 1951. The brothers got shipped off together. They were even stationed on the same ship, the USS Antietam. The nice kid joins the military. Sounds like the beginning of a man living a good life, right? It was. Billy's job was in the sheet metal shop. He was real good at it, and when he got his honorable discharge from the Navy, he turned that skill into a business and opened up a body shop in Washington, D.C. Your boy went from doing body work on warplanes to getting people's whips back together. Okay, Billy, I see you. Okay. At some point in time, Billy also marries his boo, a woman named Willie Rubina Bryant, and they quickly pop out 2 kids back to back, a boy named Michael in 1961 and a girl named Kimberly in 1962. Now, according to his brother Leonard, your boy Billy was making good money. Leonard says that Billy was pulling in like a G a month. And in the 60s, $1,000 a month was good coin. I'm talking good coin. Like, nigga, you ballin'. Them type of bags. Not to mention, oh boy, Billy was easy on the eyes. I'm talking 6'2", 170 pounds, and good with his hands. A snack, if you will. Like, sir, all you had to do was sit back and enjoy life. Don't you know that that's how the Lord send me a man prayer start off? You got all the shit we looking for. But y'all know this is Melanin Mayhem, so you know that this normal, regular-looking dude did some shit. I don't know, y'all. Something had to have been going on that nobody knew about because old Ballin' Billy's ass had a little habit, if you will. Billy had a peculiar need to rob banks. And yes, there was an S. I'm talking plural. Yeah, Billy knocked over like 6 banks that they know of. So you know it was probably more than that. Billy was balling and laying them down with that peacemaker. I mean, it takes all kind of people to make up a world, and you might know some people like Billy. They got it going on, but they're not smart enough to realize that they are living a good and wholesome life. Or they've hustled hard and they got some stacks on stacks, but they just don't know when to stop. Like, you ain't got to be out here for the streets all your life. Baby, Billy didn't give a fuck about none of that. One of his favorite targets to rob was the Maryland Savings and Loan Bank. Like, he hit them for a 3-peat, like he was Lil Wayne up in that mug. Until the feds was like, enough, goddamn. And they hit him with some bank robbery charges. And he really looked out because I told you, they think he robbed 6 banks, but they only charged him with robbing 3. Okay, you got off a little bit, right? But I tell you who didn't get off, his family, because according to the FBI, the family was shook. Because not Billy. Billy don't need to rob nobody. Man, Billy write a check and the bank bounce. What you talking about? Billy robbed the bank? Man, Billy be loaning the banks the money. What is you talking about? That's how fat this nigga's pockets was. I know you got the wrong man. Ain't no way Billy did that. No way. I can't even imagine. I know all kinds of people. I know good people. I know ride or die people. I know people that got good jobs, making good money, and they still out here in these streets hitting licks, scheming, scamming, selling drugs. I'm sorry. After a certain age, baby, ain't nobody got time or the body to be sleeping on a mat. Oh no, baby. I need me an orthopedic mattress, as well as the ability to come and go whenever I feel like it. Prison at my big age? Oh no, that's not the move. The authorities were like, we got the right man. And before you know it, Billy is standing before a judge with his attorney pleading his case. His lawyer was up there talking about, Your Honor, my client has never been in trouble before. He served his country with distinction and honor in the Navy. And with regard to this little misappropriation of funds from these banks, Your Honor, no shots were ever fired and no one suffered physical injury during these robberies. My client is a lover that also like to rob a little bit on the side. This is all just one big misunderstanding. The judge was like, whatever, and he let it be known that this was gonna be one of them make an example out of nigga type of sentences. The judge said, look at here. Because of the serious nature of the crimes committed, including the complete disregard for the lives of others, the court has determined that the defendant must be separated from society for a long time. And in addition, this punishment will hopefully serve as a deterrent for others who thinking about strong arming cash from our banks. Oh shit, Billy. It ain't looking good for you, bruh. And it wasn't. On April 5th, 1968, the U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C., Judge John Sirica, he gave Billy no less than 6 and no more than 18 years for each of the 3 charges against him. So just doing a little quick math here, that means it's going to be at least 18 years, but no more than 54 years at the Lorton State Penitentiary in Virginia. And off to be a prisoner Billy goes. Now, when he got to prison, they put Billy to work in the automobile shop. He was good at that kind of thing. Remember, he had his own little automobile body shop. So, the prison was basically playing to his strengths, I guess. But, having Billy working on cars, I don't know if that's such a good idea. Billy felt that the pen wasn't the place to be. And when I tell you, 4 motherfucking months later, he came up with a master plan and throwed the deuces to that bitch. Billy took one of them cars that he had been working on and drove that motherfucker through a chain link fence on August 23rd, 1968. Baby, I don't understand. I done did enough of these stories now to realize that in the 60s and 70s, prisons stayed getting broke out of. Don't try that shit now. In 2024, it's not gonna work. But in the 60s and 70s, the authorities stayed thinking that people were going to stay in captivity just because they said so. Because the prisons weren't that secure, apparently. Some of the diaspora really got that you not gonna cage me up mentality. And like Toby, every chance they get, they running. You gonna have to chop my motherfucking foot off to keep me in a cage. And baby, you know they will. Of course, the authorities added an additional charge to Billy's crimes, right? They charged him with being an escaped federal prisoner. And so the FBI did what the FBI does in these situations. They went to go see all his family and friends to see if he turned up there. And if he did, his people didn't tell nobody but God. Because I'm telling you, in the 60s and 70s, people did not turn their peoples into the cops down like 4 flats for their people. This was true ride or die. Baby, they don't make them like that no more. Today, Crime Stoppers got the game on lock. Trust and believe, if somebody know, your people's gonna tell on you for a little piece of change. But back to Billy. Billy laid low like a nigga should that has escaped from prison. And maybe if he had a stayed on the low, we wouldn't be talking about him today. But oh no, not Billy. Billy's one of them audacious ass, gotta hit a lick ass, I ain't gonna get caught ass niggas. Now mind you, Billy don't have his business anymore. He's a fugitive. He can't get a job. He's a fugitive, but Billy still gotta eat. He still got a wife that's expecting him to bring home the bacon and 2 kids that need some bacon to eat, right? So Billy need money and he need money now. So what's a nigga to do when his back is against the wall? He goes back to doing what he know how to do. Rob banks. Oh, Billy was booked and busy. Do y'all understand that this man robbed 10 banks? God damn, Billy. 10? Bro was a serious stick-up kid. I get it, I guess. He gotta eat. He got children to feed, and he's a fugitive, so it's not like he can just go get a job, because his name is trash. I get that he needed to do what he needed to do, but 10? God damn. You gotta know how to stick and move. And I'm thinking, he robbed 10. So clearly, in the beginning, he knew exactly how to stick and move. He was hitting them, and he was getting away. And then, one day, for reasons I will never understand, Billy chose the wrong motherfucking bank. I mean, not just the wrong bank. He chose a bank that should have never even been on his list of banks to knock over. How you gonna shit where you eat, Billy? Let me tell y'all about the not so smart decision Billy made that got him all the way caught up and fucked up the church's money. On January 8th, 1969, Billy decides to pull a Cleo and rob another goddamn bank. This will be number 11. So you just gonna walk up into these banks and you determined to walk out with a bag. Billy, you not free. You ain't even on parole. You a whole fugitive and you finna go stick up another bank? Okay. He robbed the Fort Washington branch of the Citizens Bank and Trust. Okay, Nate. What's so special about that bank? Well, let me tell you. This wasn't just any bank. It was the bank where Billy had an account when he appeared to be a law-abiding citizen. Remember, he had a shop. And this was the actual branch where he did his banking at. Because you got to think, in the 60s, there wasn't 1,000 banks and credit unions on every corner like it is now. In the 60s, you opened up an account and everything you needed to do, I don't care if it's cashing a check, making a deposit, getting a loan, whatever it was, you went to that motherfucking bank and you did all your shit right there. So why in the hell would Billy go and rob this bank? Like, nigga, you couldn't have gone to a bank that didn't know you. Billy walks in, and the tellers recognize him. They recognized him as their customer that used to have an account before he got arrested and sent to prison a couple of months ago for bank robbery. And here he is, walking into the bank just like old times. An audacious ass nigga. And then he proceeds to rob them. Billy, they know you. Dude, in the words of Jay-Z, you a hustler, homie, but you a customer crony? He robs the place at like 10:30 in the morning. Billy got $4,000 and then bends the block in a maroon Cadillac. Hotter than a motherfucker. Hot footing it over to his wife's house. Now, his wife, she had a spot over at 133 Yuma Street. Now, Billy, a Cadillac? That ain't the most inconspicuous car that you could have picked as your getaway car. But hey, if that's all you got to work with, who am I to beat you up over it? But I'm going to say this. You should have done like Cleo and added a little Grand Theft Auto to your resume. I mean, shit, you're already out here sticking and moving. It's a little Grand Theft Auto. Well, it didn't take long for the authorities to figure out who the fuck robbed the bank. The tellers couldn't wait to tell it. Baby, they was up in that mud singing like they was auditioning for the Mount Calvary Mass Choir up in that motherfucker. They told it all. What he was wearing, what he used to wear, how he used to come in, how often he used to come in, what his wife's name was. He had 2 children. I'm talking about they told all the business. And, the local cops, they took everything down, but the FBI is here. They're the ones running the show because, the bank is FDIC, and the F stands for federal, or fucked in Billy's case. And the Alphabet Boys, they know all about Billy. They know where he lives, who his people are, and all of that. They know because they had to interview them all when he first went to trial for them robberies in 68 and then when he escaped. So, they about to head over and run down the list of places that Billy might go. First on the list, his wife's house. Quite expeditiously, I might say. The FBI heads to Billy's wife's house and they get there around 12:30. Now, of course, they want to go over there and see if Mrs. Bryant has seen her husband. And when they get there, remember it's 12:30, we talking 2 hours after the robbery. They said that when the FBI were going into the building, Mrs. Bryant was walking out the building. They walked right past each other. They didn't say nothing to her, and she didn't say nothing to them. Yeah. Sister Kate already knew that her man was on borrowed time, and she must not have wanted no parts of that. So she leaves, and she probably told him to be gone when she get back, because y'all know how we do. So the agents go to the spot. They knock on the apartment door, and Billy answers the door. But he opens the door, but he's kind of like got it cracked, and he's standing behind the door. So the FBI says, "We're looking for Mrs. Bryant." And Billy says, "She ain't here." And so the FBI says, "Well, can we come in and wait?" And Billy says, "No, this isn't my place, so I can't just be inviting people I don't know in here." And I'm thinking, right about then, the air in the little hallway probably changed a little bit. The FBI realizes that this is probably Billy we talking to. And Billy at the same time probably came to the conclusion the jig is up. So what you gonna do now, Cletus? I tell you what he did. Billy let that peacemaker do the rest of the talking. Oh yes, he let that peace be still, clear a path to freedom. Yup, Billy started shooting at everybody, and surprisingly, he hit his marks. He had taken the agents by surprise and gunned two of them down right there where they stood. Okay, now it's time for Billy to hot-foot it on up out of there, cause baby, the heat is on now. First, you strong arm a bank out their money. And then when they come see about their coins, you kill two FBI agents in cold blood. Sir, you can't stay here. Not to mention, your wife gonna be mad as a motherfucker when she get back and see all this mess that you done made of her spot. Like, sir, you ain't gotta go home, but you need to get the hell up out of here. And what about your children? You done brought all kinds of heat to their home. You got two dead FBI agents in the hallway outside your baby mama house. Sir, they're gonna come looking for the person that killed 26-year-old agent Anthony Palmisano and 27-year-old Edwin Woodruff. And can I just pause for a minute and say that Agent Woodruff was a brother? And here comes the prolific part of his shenanigans thus far. Right here, Billy made history. By killing Agent Woodruff, Billy made him the first black person to die on the job in the FBI. But old Billy wasn't done with getting his name in the history books with that one. At the same time, it was only the second time in FBI history where two agents were sent to the upper room at the same damn time. Sir, in the words of that cop from Menace to Society, you know you done fucked up, right? Now how about this bullshit? There was a third agent in the hallway. Baby, when he saw his colleagues get gunned down, he didn't have no fight left in him. He couldn't have. How come you didn't engage with Billy or nothing? Ain't that protocol? When you see your colleagues get murked in front of you that you try to take out the bad guy? Like Mr. FBI agent, did you even try to pinch this nigga? I thought y'all were the secret agent man. Always gets his man kind of people. I thought y'all were trained in hand-to-hand combat like G.I. Joe with the combat grip. Shit, that man turned tail and ran for his life. And I ain't even gonna hold you. I ain't mad at him. Number one reason why I ain't going into law enforcement. I don't want to die because somebody don't want to be arrested. This third agent, his name was George Sullivan. Mr. Sullivan lived to tell the tale because he wasn't trying to be no damn hero. Bruh did not want his name on a plaque. Call that man what you want. You can call him scared. You can say he ain't gonna bust a grape in a fruit fight. Agent Sullivan gives two shits because he was the only one to go home and get in his bed that night. Now, thankfully, not all law enforcement are like me and him. But old Agent Sullivan, he ran back to the car and he called for backup. And a couple of minutes later, here come the cavalry. They surrounded the building and started throwing tear gas into the apartment. But it was too late. That nigga gone, honey. You gotta be quicker than that. They saw that a window was open. Billy had went out the window and cat-dadded his way to freedom down a tree. Okay, Billy. So Billy dips, but before he dips, he helped himself to the dead agent's guns on the way out. Cause you don't never know when you gonna need a little bit more of that heat. But at the same time, Billy, he hot. Like, he can't go to a hotel. He can't even go hide at his people's house. Where is he gonna go? His face is plastered all over the news. First and foremost, he got to get the fuck out the neighborhood. But he can't because 12 is everywhere. Everywhere? Everywhere. So the next best thing is to try to go underground, try to blend in right there. There's a creek that's behind the building where his wife stayed. And so he tries hiding in the creek bed to stay out of sight. But it's January in D.C. Sir, you can't hide in that water. That shit cold. You gonna be hypothermic or a nigga popsicle before long. So Billy abandons the creek, but now he muddy and he wet. So now it's really hard to blend in, but he still gotta find somewhere to get out of sight. So he started looking for a place to hide, preferably somewhere indoors. That shit wasn't gonna work. Ain't no blending in when they call him everybody that ever had a uniform. Hundreds, baby, I said hundreds of police. We talking law enforcement from the Maryland State Police, the PG County Police, the PG County Sheriff's Department, the DC Police, and the motherfucking FBI have all come together to kumbaya for your ass. We talking police with dogs, police with submachine guns, and FBI agents pissed that they people done caught some hot lead. They all descended on Billie's old lady's neighborhood and they went door to door. I'm talking the kind of door to door where they say we coming in and we gonna search your shit from top to bottom to see if a nigga up in here hiding because we know he ain't made it too far from the crime scene. And then there were helicopters. Baby, they pulled out all the toys to find this nigga. They throwing up roadblocks and running up on motherfuckers. What was it that Cat Williams say? It was a bad day to be a black man because everybody was a suspect and everybody was getting yoked up. When I tell you that they found that ass 7 hours later, I mean they was quick with it. Them motherfuckers caught Billie's ass before the shift change. I'm talking they still had another hour to fill out their paperwork to finish out their 8-hour day. They were so intent on finding Billie that they put him on the FBI 10 most wanted list. And one more time, Billie Bad Ass makes history. Billie is the record holder for the shortest amount of time on the FBI 10 most wanted list. Yeah, honey, the ink didn't even have a chance to dry before that ass was captured. 2 hours. 2 hours, 120 minutes after they put his name on the list. Captured. See, what had happened was the nigga didn't know how to keep still. I'm thinking he must have been nervous and pacing and shit because there was a man named Robert Ross that lived on Mississippi Avenue over there. This area that we're talking about is Washington, D.C.'s southeast section. And Mr. Ross's house wasn't far from where all of the shit went down. And on this particular day, it just so happened that him and his wife kept hearing noises coming from the attic. And then their dog Chico in here whining and barking and scratching at the door. Chico ass was telling on Billie. And so the Rosses, they see what's going on the news and they can see that there is a manhunt going on. So they did what the envelopians gonna do every time. They called the police and told them, can y'all stop by over here and check out something because something don't sound right in our attic. At the same time, Neighborhood Watch was in full effect because the Rosses had a neighbor that just so happened to see Billie go in their house. And what did he do? Flagged down a cop and told him to come check that shit out. Billie couldn't have picked the worst place to hide. Maybe he should have took his chance with a little hypothermia. You know, a little cold don't hurt nobody if you're trying to stay free. I'm just saying. Mind you, it's only 4 blocks away from where it all went down. So the police, they rolled up deep and they began to search. The special operations squad go to the attic door. He opened the attic door and then he ratchets a shotgun. And he said, Billie, if you up here, I suggest you come out before we light your ass up. Baby, that's one way to get a motherfucker's attention. That, you know the sound that it make when you rack that shotgun? That's a motherfucking statement all on its own. When you hear that sound, you know a motherfucker is about to stand on business. You ain't even got to know the language the person holding the shotgun is speaking. That's universal. You know what the fuck that means. Billie realizes that the jig is up and he was like, all right, I'm here. Don't shoot. So Captain Monroe told him, throw your gun down. And so the next thing you know, here come a revolver falling from the ceiling. So then Captain Monroe was like, okay, now you bring that ass. And the next thing you know, here go Billie coming out the trap door and that ass is caught. They scooped him up and they take him to the station for questioning. Well, pretty quickly, he admits to the shooting. Billie says that it was in self-defense. He didn't know who those men were at the door. They made him write it all down. And the next thing you know, they wrapped that shit up with a bow. Here is his confession, signed, sealed, and delivered. Baby, I'm talking about they did not tarry with Billie's ass. They caught him at 6:49 p.m. And at 9:30 p.m., he was in front of a judge being arraigned and held without bond. I'm talking about all of this went down in the space of one day. We talking 12 hours from robbery to arraignment. Baby, that's got to be a record. So now, the police and the FBI go to work building their case against Billie. And on January 28th, 1969, they put Billie in a lineup, and Agent Sullivan, the FBI agent that didn't want no smoke when he was at Billie's wife's house, he ain't got no issues now pointing out the man that killed his colleagues. Of course, he was behind that, what is that, two-way glass? So maybe he was still a little shaky. He wasn't up there up close and personal with Billie, but needless to say, Agent Sullivan pointed him out, and so now we got a confession and a positive ID. Now it's time to crank up the jury. And on March 5th, 1969, Billie was indicted by a federal grand jury and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of killing a federal officer, and 1 charge of bank robbery. The next point of business is that pesky escape charge that was still out there. Because you remember, Billie's a fugitive when all this shit was going down. On April 10th, 1969, he was convicted of being an escaped prisoner, and the U.S. District Court of Alexandria, Virginia, gave him 3 years to be served after he finished his original sentence of 18 to 54 years, right? But they still not done because there's still some more shit hanging over Billie's head. It's kind of minor, but I mean, it's still charges. Because remember, before Billie killed those 2 FBI agents, he did rob a bank. That kind of got skated over, but it was still on the to-do list. You can bet your ass of that. And on April 14th, 1969, just 4 days later, he got convicted in a Maryland state court for the armed robbery of the Citizens Bank and Trust, and they gave him 20 years for that one. So, okay, let's do some math. At this point, Billie got his original 18 to 54 years. Then he got 3 years for escaping. Then he got 20 years for robbing that last bank. 1, 2, 3, carry the 1, double the 2. That's like 77 years right there. And we have yet to get in front of the jury for the murder charges. In 1969, Billie is 38 years old. 77 years is basically a life sentence, but he still got one more trial for the final numbers to come in. In 1969, in the District of Columbia, the law said that you could get death by the electric chair for first-degree murder, and your fate was up to the jury if they convicted you. Now, if the jury was unable to come to a unanimous decision on frying your ass, then of course the judge would get to make the final decision. So Billie goes to court October 20th, 1969. His trial lasted about a week. And the prosecution, they had the gun that he had shot the agents with, and the bullets matched up perfectly. They had that old scary FBI agent Sullivan identifying him as the man that killed his colleagues, and they had Billie's confession. It sounded kind of slam dunkish to me, but let's see what the defense had up their sleeve. A whole lot of nothing. They had so much nothing that they did something that never happens. Billie, unlike most of our mayhem makers, actually took the stand and admitted to firing the shots at the agents. Billie's story was that the FBI shot first. He said he heard a gunshot and, quote, "I didn't ask no questions. I shot the person closest to me, and then I shot the man who was still shooting." End quote. Billie said he didn't know nothing about no robbery or why them men was at his old lady's house looking for him. As you can see, our boy Billie is putting on a show. He might as well have been on the YSL Rico trial for all these shenanigans he got going on. But the shenanigans don't stop when he gets off the stand. Oh no. Let me tell you what happened next. The jury, made up of 8 men and 4 women, they went out and they did what juries do. They found that ass guilty on Monday night, October 27th, 1969. Now, when the verdict was read, they said Billie blinked once or twice, and then he started grinning at their ass. Every time the foreman said guilty, they say Billie's grin got bigger. When it was all said and done, this motherfucker was showing 72 teeth up in that mug. Wasn't no tears for Billie. Oh no. Billie made sure that they understood he didn't give 2 shits about what they was talking about. And as they frog marched his ass about the courtroom, he made it his business to wave goodbye to his attorneys. Bye y'all. Thank you for coming out. Just audacious, my people. Okay, so the first part is over. He is convicted. But what about the sentence? Well, see, that's where it gets a little sticky. You see, the jury couldn't come to a consensus on the penalty. They couldn't decide between the death penalty and life in prison. So the judge was like, all right, don't worry about it. I got y'all back. I'll take it from here. November 3rd, 1969. At the sentencing, that nigga Billy apparently was out of fucks to give. There's a part during the court session where the defendant gets a chance to address the judge or the court or the victims, whoever he feel like talking to. It's kind of like the last chance to say what's on your heart before you hear how long you gonna have to do. Baby, let me tell you what this audacious ass nigga told the judge at his allocution. Billie Bad Ass said, quote, I can't say I'm sorry for what happened to these men, and I am really not interested in the sentence one way or the other. Oh, he ain't done. Come on, Kanye. Tell the people what's really on your mind. Billy said, quote, I felt like I was protecting my life. They had a job to do, and they did it. I had a job to do, and I did it. And I'll do it again. End quote. Sir, you were really like fresh out of fucks, huh? You ain't want to borrow 1 or 2 fucks before you went to court today? Okay, I get it. I get it. Like, I truly do. Billy knew what was about to happen. He had killed 2 federal agents. They were not going to take it easy on him by any stretch of the imagination. So why not show your ass a little bit? This going to be the last opportunity you get to do it for the people anyway before they hide you away somewhere. So go ahead. Get your shine on. Cuss everybody out. What they going to do? Whatever the fuck they was going to do any goddamn way. Now, y'all, you know that judge was probably hot as fish grease, outraged that a black ass FBI agent killing ass, strong arm robbing ass nigga had the motherfucking audacity to be up in his courtroom not respecting his authority. The judge was like, laugh now, nigga. I got something for that ass. And indeed, he did. See, rather than being all emotional and shit, the judge gave his sentence some thought. Cause remember, he gets to decide whether he want to go balls to the wall and we smoking this nigga in old Sparky, or do we let him ride it out in prison for the rest of his life. A lot of emotional people would have went with the death penalty, but not our judge. Cause you see, the judge had a different understanding. His thought process was when you get the death penalty, there's a lot of things that come along with that. A lot of things that take you away from your cell. Break the monotony of a prison sentence, right? Because you got a lot of appeals that happen. You got rights groups that are trying to save your life and shit. And the actual sentence being carried out, it could be decades if it's ever carried out. So, oh no, Judge Gerhard Gessel, he was a petty patty. He said he decided on the life sentences instead of death to deny Billy, quote, the luxury of all the special attention a capital penalty punishment would generate, end quote. Okay, Judge, show them hoes you ain't nothing to play with. Yeah, Judge Gessel had the last motherfucking word for real. Cause you know after Billy showed his ass, the judge, he had to give his own take about what kind of man Billy was. He told the people in the courtroom that Billy was, quote, escape motivated, incorrigible, and extremely dangerous, and probably could only be controlled in an institution like they had at Atlanta or Leavenworth. Hold on for a minute, pause. I don't know about Leavenworth, but the Atlanta penitentiary is scary as fuck. Ask me how I know how. I told y'all, I know all kinds of people. And once upon a time, I had a friend that just so happened to be doing fed time at the Atlanta penitentiary, and I would go visit. Baby, every time, my ass would be super shook. Just visiting there felt like they were locking my ass up. It was too many doors sliding closed behind me. I felt like I was in Shawshank, and I was on the outer part of the prison. I wasn't nowhere near the bowels of the prison where the real deal prisoning was going on. Ooh, Lord, I was so glad when my folk got sent next door to the camp, which was way less scary and also way less secure. But you know, that's another story for another time. Anywho, back to Billy and his sentence with the judge. The judge went on to explain why he was giving him the sentence. He said that the death penalty would keep you here being DC, indefinitely in a death cell in our antiquated jail. Several years might pass while your appeals go through the system. Then you might win a new trial, especially if there are changes or challenges to the death penalty. So this is what the judge did instead. He gave him 2 life sentences, one for each agent. But here's the kicker. The life sentences wouldn't start until after he finished all his other time. So, his 18 to 54-year sentence for that robbery he skipped out on, the escape 3 years he got, and then that other 20 for that bank. That's a long time, Judge. Basically, the judge made sure that Billy wasn't gonna never see the daylight as a free man in this lifetime. And with the feds, ain't no real time off for good behavior. Fed time is real time. You gonna do 80 to 90% of that shit. So your boy Billy is a done deal. Bye-bye, Billy. Billy is shipped off to his new home with the feds in Atlanta the next goddamn day on November 4th, 1969. Baby, the judge meant that shit. He really banished that man to Atlanta. Like, sir, exert your power. I like it. Billy filed appeals over the years, like there was one in 81 where he argued that he should have got a chance for a parole hearing for them first robbery charges because he had done more than a third of his sentence. And he also felt like they weren't computing his good behavior time right. And he also felt that he should get a parole hearing for the murder charges eventually. And lastly, Billy claimed that Washington, D.C. had no jurisdiction to fuck with him anyway. The courts was like, boy, bye. Stop playing with us. Your shit's dismissed as frivolous and we ain't changing our mind. Your ass is gonna stay locked up forever. And forever, he did. At least until he died. Billy Austin Bryant died on March 10th, 2009 at approximately 3:45 p.m. I don't know much about Billy's background, but goddamn if I don't have the timestamps for when he did his shit. I know this man died at 3:45 because they told me. His cause of death was septic shock from pneumonia. At the time, he resided at the Federal Bureau of Prisons in Butner, North Carolina in the Medical Center Unit. Billy was 78 years old when he went to the upper room. Billy's story, while tragic, it ain't unique. There are scores of humans that had decent upbringing that are skilled enough to make money legally. Yet they still have a need, a desire, a compunction, whatever you want to call it, to do some illegal shit. Like them envelopians that got stacks on stacks and go into stores with their sticky fingers, stealing shit that they can easily buy. Maybe Billy had an addiction. Maybe it was drugs. But my guess would be gambling because he really didn't exhibit any druggy qualities. But that gambling, a lot of black men love to gamble. And when they win, everything is lovely. But when they lose, they don't know how to stop. And most lose more than they win. And then they keep trying to run it back and they just dig themselves deeper into a hole that they can never get out of. Maybe Billy liked to bet on the ponies. Maybe he was at the track doing some shit. Maybe he was a numbers man. I don't know. But it was something. I'm thinking that Billy probably had some long sharks that were going to do him dirty if he didn't make them payments. And I'm going to have to give Billy credit where credit is due. I mean, my man knocked over a bunch of banks. I'm talking like at least 16, 17 that they know of. So, if that's what they know, it's probably another 10, 12 that they don't know about. But he only got caught twice. My folks told me if you're going to do something, be the best at it. And Billy was a hell of a body man and he knew his way around a bank too. I ain't never read nothing about people talking about him sideways. Everybody say he was a stand-up guy. If he said he was gonna do something, he did that shit. His wife didn't divorce him, so he must have kept that bag coming or was laying that pipe like a pro. I mean, shit. He robbed a bank and he came straight to her and she booked it out of there. What you think happened? He copped them 4 stacks from the bank, came and brought it straight to her, and she hauled ass with the loot right past the FBI. Think about it. I didn't tell y'all the FBI recovered that money, because they didn't. So Billy was out here caught up a little bit, but he still made provisions for his family. 4 G's and 69 was good coin. Enough to tie the family over for a little bit and give Willie Rubino time to figure out what her next move was going to be now that her husband was probably going to be gone for forever. I'm talking, shit, this niggas out here right now that won't clock in for a job, much less rob a bank to take care of their responsibilities. I ain't saying Billy was right, What I am saying is that he took care of his business without making excuses. Was his methods a little unorthodox? Sure. I do not suggest that you go rob nobody to feed your family. But if you do gotta rob somewhere that's insured and don't hurt nobody. Don't be out here laying motherfuckers down when the whole bank is over here FDIC insured. I'm just saying. They must have only had one car. In my mind, I see Billy coming to his wife's house to give her the money. And she said something probably like, baby, let me go take this to my hiding spot because they finna come search the house. And Billy was probably like, okay, but hurry up because I got to get the hell out of Dodge. But before Willie Rubina could go and come back, the authorities was on their ass. Shout out to Willie Rubina. She didn't miss a beat. Sister girl read the situation for what it was and recognized that when she passed them FBI agents, that the situation was above me now. She knew that her man knew how to handle himself and she didn't need to be nowhere near that shit that was about to pop off. That's what I see in my mind. That just makes the most sense. And I'm also just saying that this was the story of Billy Austin Bryant, a dude that robbed at least 16 banks and probably more and got away with it until he didn't. A man that made a bad situation 100 times worse by killing 2 FBI agents. He should have dropped that money off, shimmied down that tree way before the FBI showed up. He knew that they were coming, and they caught his ass slipping. And here's something that I found that was so surprising. I'm going to file this under the fuck you and what you went through section of the podcast. In 2018 in Brooklyn, there was an attempt to name a street after the black FBI agent that Billy killed, Agent Edwin Woodruff. They wanted to name the intersection of Jefferson Street and Claver Place after him. You know how they do. It's a memorial to a fallen public servant. This particular intersection was where Agent Woodruff used to go to church as a little boy. He was an altar boy at the church. So, okay, they weren't just choosing somewhere randomly to throw his name up, because at first I was like, well, why they didn't do that in D.C.? But he had ties to Brooklyn. It all sounded good, right? Well, the peoples was like, hell to the no. The residents of the area, they were like, we remember back in the day, around the time when Agent Woodruff died, them same FBIs, they used to target all of the black organizations that used to work on that same corner. That was their headquarters, and they stayed running up in there hassling them people. So in the people's eyes, to put this slain FBI agent's name on that street would be akin to putting a Nazi monument in a Hasidic Jewish neighborhood. So what you're saying is that's a no, huh? Okay, damn, moving on. Agent Woodruff, even in death, they ain't fucking with you. And y'all, just like that, we are at the end of another tale of mayhem. How y'all feeling about Billie Bad Ass? Did I keep it light enough for you to get through Election Day? Y'all tell me all about it on social media. I want you to go over to Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. We're Melanin Mayhem Podcast, and on X, we're the Melanin Mayhem PC. And if you know of a melanated mayhem maker that I should be talking about, you can always drop me a line at melaninmayhempodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to check out the Melanin Mayhem Podcast discussion group on Facebook. It's a safe space and it's private, so you can let your mayhem flag fly, y'all. As always, I love y'all so much, and I really appreciate y'all taking the time out of your day to listen to me and my shenanigans. It's truly an honor. And next week, I promise I'll be right back here with another tale of mayhem. But until then, you know the drill. Stay safe. Stay vigilant. Don't fuck nobody up today, because I know emotions are high. And remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. It's one love, New One Nation, and the country girl is out of here. Wow.